As I said before, we've got about 200, I think, accompaniments in this. There's also a set of what's called music presets in it, which are complete accompaniment and tone setups together that allow you to sort of cop the vibe of popular songs or popular styles without naming names for copyright reasons. That's the idea there. But basically, you get your accompaniments two ways, just as drum beats, and I'll do that again. There's what's called modern R&B. So I hit my function button here, I can see what the rhythm is. Oh, it's not modern R&B, it's funk pop. Well, that's a simple one. But there's accompaniments in all styles. Here's a bossa nova. And if you're just in drum beat mode, you're going to have your full piano sound, or whatever main tone you've selected, down on the bottom. If you go to accompaniment mode, you're going to have your auto-arranger stuff. Yes, it's the Star Trek theme. The Star Trek theme is basically the girl from Ipanema. Don't tell anybody. So in accompaniment mode, we'll go with that bossa nova because it's pleasant. And of course you have a synchro beginning mode. Excuse me. There we go. So when I hit a key, just let that go. You have normal style, and you hit a variation, which will give you a fill-in ahead of it. Variations are typically denser in terms of what's being played at the same time than the normal version of the style is. And you can even trigger intros and endings. So, basic but pretty competent arranger functionality. The PX S3000 has two recorders in it. You have an audio recorder and a MIDI recorder. So a MIDI recorder will capture every aspect of your performance into internal memory, and you can play it back. And it's cool in the way that it works because it has what's called a system track. What the system track is for is it'll capture your playing and anything the auto-accompaniment engine is doing. So it's actually a bunch of tracks that you interact with as though they're one track. And then it has what's called solo tracks 1 and 2. So you've got the system track, solo track 1, solo track 2. And what you can do is you can use the system track to get a little groove together, and then you can use the solo tracks to develop melodies and so forth on top of that. The audio recorder works with a USB thumb drive that you plug into the back and captures your entire performance as stereo wave files. So I'm sure you're wanting to know, can you split the keyboard? Can you play, a bass in your left hand and a piano in your right hand on this? And you certainly can. And how you do that is you go down to control mode. I'm in registration mode. This function button is kind of everything on this machine. So here's tones, rhythms. The third one is control, CTRL, right there. And you have buttons that say split and layer right here. So you go down there to simply turn. I'm going to turn accompaniment off, by the way, so that that doesn't kick in again. You go down to the split button to simply turn your split on. And there is my upright bass. And then you can also turn on a layer. Or you can have the layer without a split so that you have strings and piano or whatever layer you want across the whole range of the keyboard. If you create a lot of splits and layers, it's a little bit involved. I'm just going to say really briefly that there's a bit of jockeying between the tone selection mode and the control modes, between this mode and that one, this one and that one. And the reason for that is if split or layer is turned on, and you'll see SP and or LY in the display, depending on whether splitter layer is turned on. If splitter layer is turned on, then when you go back into tone selection mode, you're selecting the tone for the split or the layer. If you want to select your main tone that you started with as if you didn't have any splits or layers on, you have to go back down here. Ooh, I went one too far. Turn off splits and layers, jockey back, select your main tone, and then go back down and select your split tones again. That's not a big deal, but I will mention that an app, which I'm going to show you in a minute for this thing, called Casio Cordana Play for Piano, Cordana, Cordana Play for Piano, has a much more direct access way of creating splits and layers, and actually convenient ways of pretty much controlling everything in the instrument. One thing that surprised me about the PX S3000 was the DSP effect. Now there's a global system reverb, a global system chorus, as there pretty much is on anything of this type, but there's a bunch of DSP effects in this thing that are just rad. I'm stepping through them on the display now. There's EQs, there's compressors, there's wahs, there's multi-effects, there's phasers, which I don't have active on the piano sound now, but there's phasers, so you can give your electric piano that kind of Doobie Brothers Steely Dan sound, and anyone who knows me knows how much I talk about Steely Dan. And some of these effects are there's a rotary effect for the organs that's actually really, really decent. And you can even control the speed from one of the knobs. There's rotary plus overdrive, there's wahs you can put on clavinets and, play higher ground or tell me something good. There's pitch shifters, ring modulator for, to make your piano sound like a Dalek is saying exterminate. There's all kinds of cool stuff. This is an effects complement I would expect on a synthesizer, not on a digital piano.